Good morning, everyone. Here's an operations update for September 11th. I'm showing you right now yesterday's map so you can kind of get an idea of what has moved on the battlefield in the last 24 hours or so. Now, remember, these maps are about a day or two old, so it doesn't reflect the current on-ground situation as of right now. But it does kind of give you an idea of where things are going, at least in the last 48 hours or so. So in particular, I want you to just pay attention. We've been talking about this E-zoom axis right in here. So you're gonna just kind of pay attention to this whole area right here as I flip the map over. So again, this is yesterday, and now we'll flip over to today. Oops, I gotta turn off the pen. This is today. So yeah, you can kind of see yesterday, today. So obviously, the biggest chunk is this whole area was taken by Ukraine since I last posted yesterday. So the Ukrainian counteroffensive in Kharkiv Oblast is routing Russian forces and collapsing Russia's northern axis up here, their ability to conduct operation. This is largely because of an outstanding feint executed to the south near Kherson. The Russians have redeployed many units from Kharkiv to Kherson in the south, and it opened up a massive tactical advantage and strategic advantage for the Ukrainians. Because of this redeployment of forces by Russia to Kherson, there's no covering force for any kind of retreat, and it is showing. The Russians are getting absolutely obliterated in this region. Ukrainian forces have penetrated Russian lines to a depth of about 70 kilometers, and you can kind of see some of the biggest swaths here where it's like enormous amounts of land being taken here. And they've captured over 3,000 square kilometers of territory in the past 5 days. 5 days, that's insane. They're averaging 600 kilometers of territory gain every day. This is more territory than Russian forces have captured in all operations since April. And I know it shows right here that E-zoom is still kind of red, but it is probably likely that E-zoom has been captured by Ukraine. There's videos of Ukrainians taking photos outside of the town marker for the city all over the internet, and so because of this, again, this map might be a little dated. There's current talk that the Ukrainians have actually completed this line here. It's cutting off a significant portion of Russians that are still located in this area. This eliminates Russia's advance to the northwest. So originally the Russians were trying to use the E40 highway, that was that highway that ran like through here to try and take Kramatorsk. The Russians were trying to kind of eliminate the ability of the Ukrainians to reinforce in this area so they could kind of cut it off down here and take all of this land. Well, that's not happening, obviously. The tables have completely turned, and the Ukrainians taking E-zoom is the most significant victory and achievement for Ukraine since winning the Battle of Kyiv way back in March. They've seemed to have successfully encircled Russian troops trying to flee Izum, which would result in either the destruction or capture of a significant amount of Russian forces. Like I said, in this area right here, this is going to cause problems for Russian manpower and morale. Russian war correspondents are actually embedded in this area and trapped and are reporting facing challenges in evacuating. Originally, Russian forces were using helicopters to come in and pull their people out of here, but Ukrainian anti-air assets have moved into the region to such a degree that that's dangerous now for them, and they can't do that. Now, for the Russian Ministry of Defense's excuse, they said that they're just doing a controlled withdrawal from Izum. They're framing it completely falsely as a regrouping of forces to support a Russian effort in Donetsk Oblast. Mirrors exactly what they said when Russia, quote unquote, withdrew from Kyiv after losing the Battle of Kyiv. Russia is not acknowledging any successes of Ukraine around the Kharkiv Oblast. So naturally, a lot of comments that are going to come in from the idiot Russian followers and supporters are going to be like, it was a withdrawal, just like it was a withdrawal from Kyiv and a withdrawal from Snake Island, and just Russia continues to withdraw everywhere, even though they're trying to take the. It's so stupid how people continue to try to frame this. Anyways, moving on, it's the statements obviously have no truth, but what's really kind of interesting is Kremlin-sponsored propagandists are offering a very wide range of confused explanations. From the reason they're having to withdraw is because they're fighting the Western Bloc, excuse me, and to others downplaying the importance of the area, like this isn't needed, it doesn't matter, when in reality it is a massive loss for Russia. I mean, as I've spoken on before, there is a rail line that runs through here, and it kind of splits off and heads this way and then heads up this way, I believe. Maybe it was a little higher and it's like this. But anyways, this rail line was their main artery, was the Russians' main artery to resupply into this region right here, and that is completely cut off now. So anyone who's saying that this is not an important region is doing it is hiding the fact that this is a very bad situation for Russia in this region as of right now. Some of the guest experts were unable to even confirm what the host was saying, despite being coached into saying it, saying that while the host was saying that they're fighting the Russians, they were saying that the guests were saying, oh no, this area doesn't matter. Some are even just lying about the true progress of the quote special military operation. It's pretty all over the place. It's really alienating some of the journalists too, who have been the voice for trying to get this region, drumming up support, and runs counter to what was originally said 2 days ago from the Kremlin, who said, we're reinforcing, the reinforcements are coming, and you saw everyone, even in my own comments, like, oh no, Russia's going to come and steamroll them because there's convoys coming. Well, that's not happening. There's not any convoys coming, and those that are coming, it is clear they are moving towards Izium only to do so to cover a potential retreat. This is by far the most inconsistent messaging the Russians have executed so far, indicating they are completely unprepared, and the shock of this offensive is really getting to them. As of September 10th, Russia no longer controls all of the Luhansk Oblast, as the Ukrainians have now taken villages in that region too, specifically in this area right here. This line is Luhansk, and Ukrainians, even though it's small, have retaken villages there. Now, moving on, I gotta take off my pen again. Moving on to the south, where Kherson is, Ukrainian forces advanced a few kilometers in some unnamed areas. Now, you got to remember, this is where the feint was taking place, and Russian forces are still being driven to their secondary lines of defense in specific areas. Now, this was yesterday. This is today. Now, really, the only change from yesterday and today is this region right here. Not a lot elsewhere. And then also this. So I said this region here and this region here. That's where Ukrainians are pushing in. Not as drastic as what's happening around Kharkiv, but you got to remember, this was the feint, and Ukraine is still having success here. Now, Russian forces continue to put up stiff resistance, but are losing soldiers at a pretty significant rate. The 106th Guard Airborne Division within the Russian military lost 58 servicemen in one day, according to Russian leaders posting on Telegram. There's still there's still around 35,000 Russian troops in the area. Ukrainian intelligence has indicated additional Russian troops are moving into the area, specifically into the city of Kherson, to reinforce defensive positions, specifically in here. Like I said, Ukraine continues to destroy ferry crossings. Now there's a river here called the Dnipro River, and the Ukrainians continue to destroy any ferry crossings. But this, you have to remember, for a feint to work, it requires the opposing force to fall for it and reinforce, and that's what the Russians did. They've reinforced here in Kherson, obviously. They've reinforced some of the lines along the river, and then the front lines, although this is a secondary line right here, which is where most of the Russians have fallen back to in recent fighting. So even though this was the feint, and this is where Russia reinforced, the Ukrainians are still gaining ground. And that is what's going on for this September 11th on the Ukrainian battlefield.